News360 Headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal.
EcoBank.
Tonight, Chief Justice punches holes in petition to remove her from office with a fresh suit seeking a declaration that one of the petitioners does not exist in law.
And also coming up tonight, mixed reactions greet President John Mahama's scrapping of fuel allowance for political appointees.
And later in the bulletin, spare part dealers at Swami Magazine frustrated over persistent high import duties at the ports despite the recent appreciation of the Ghana cedi.
Coming up in business news, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana projects 9% fuel price hike as energy levy takes effect tomorrow.
And on the foreign front, Nigeria's former President Muhammadu Buhari buried at his home in northern Nigeria after his death in London.
We have details of all these stories and many more coming up in the next 1 hour. Do stay with us.
We are starting from the latest suit filed by the Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo, and some lawyers have expressed divergent views on the latest suit filed by the Chief Justice seeking a declaration that one of the petitioners' shining star seeking her removal does not exist in law. A cross-section of the public also believes the Chief Justice is forum shopping. The latest suit indicating that there are no records showing the existence of any such organization as Shining Star has gotten many tongues wagging. I will take you through some of the key reliefs that the Chief Justice is seeking or is praying the court to declare in her favor. It includes, among many other ones, a declaration by the court that Shining Star of Ghana does not exist in law or fact. Again, a declaration that the petition to the president allegedly authored by Shining Star of Ghana is void on account of the fact that the Shining Star of Ghana does not exist in law or fact. It goes on to say that the court should declare that the purported prima facie determination in respect of petition by Shining Star of Ghana is null, void, and of no effect, and also an order to bring up into this court for the purpose of quashing the accordingly question the purported prima facie determination and finding that was made by the president in consultation with the Council of State. So these are the new reliefs that the Chief Justice, Madam Gertrude Torkornoo, is seeking from the court. And on the back of this, government has already reacted, and the government spokesperson, that is in the person of Felix Kwachiofosu, has reacted to this particular petition and has been speaking to the media.
First of all, I'm not sure whether there are provisions covering this, whether there's a requirement for authenticity, as it were. There were also individuals. How do you authenticate the individuals? What matters is that they have raised issues. And the Chief Justice was given opportunity by the President and the Council of State to provide initial responses, which then form the basis of the determination of a prima facie. The President, in consultation with the Council of State, came to the conclusion that there was a basis to proceed further. The President then, in accordance with Article 1466, I believe, set up the committee as spelled out by the Constitution and gave them the petitions to look into. The processes have been ongoing for quite some time now. So as far as the President is concerned, every law, rule, or regulation or process that has to be adhered to has been respected. So I do not know how this particular matter in any way impinges on the integrity of the process that has gone on so far.
Right, let's get some legal perspectives on this. Christian Hezimam is a private legal practitioner. He's joined us via Zoom for a quick chat. Mr. Hezimam, good evening. Thank you for your time. What do you make of the new writ by the Chief Justice asking that one of the petitioners, in this case Shining Star of Ghana, be declared as a non-existent entity?
All right, thank you. It's Mom Hesse. You know, so the point is that it's quite interesting, and I find it quite curious why, upon the petitioning of the presidency, proper due diligence was not conducted, because the whole process was a legal process.
Proper due diligence on whose part?
The process was initiated.
Mr. Mamhesi.
Can you please hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. You were saying that it comes across as though proper due diligence was not done. On whose part?
Yeah, it comes across that proper due diligence was not conducted at the presidency.
Right.
You know, because when it comes to a company or an entity that seeks to present itself as a legal entity, a due process must be conducted. So if you have a juristic entity that presents itself as that, is it that in delineating its points, or as we call it in law, its pleadings or its story in simple terms, it did not describe itself, and for want of better expression, further due diligence with Registrar General would confirm, as we have it now, finding its way into another writ by the Chief Justice seeking this declaration. If she is successful, it would seek to say that this particular Shining Star entity, which is supposed to be an artificial person incorporated under the laws of Ghana as either a company or as a limited by guarantee, which we normally would say an NGO or association, does not exist as that at all. And when that is declared, or where she finds herself successful, it will further mean that they will challenge the capacity under which they filed that petition.
Okay.
And if that is declared in her favor, then the petition will fall through.
And that will mean, or that will be premised on the fact that really and truly Shining Star does not exist. And like you're indicating, it means that then the government or the seat of government did not do due diligence in that. But what does that, would that in any way affect the other petitioners? Because there are three of them. One is under contention or being questioned. Could that change the president's position that the Chief Justice should still be suspended while investigation goes on?
So it further goes down to water down the due diligence that the presidency did. You see, if you read the erudite judgment of Justice Dartey in the Frank Chum case, Frank Chum versus Attorney General, Justice Dartey made erudite and opine on key elements that sought to say that now, because we have the presidency or the president in conjunction with the Council of State having to determine a prima facie case, it should not, or they should guard against frivolous applications that would further or find its way there every now and then, for which, if it happens, a committee and Article 146 would have to be constituted.
Right.
When that happens, it would underpin the effort of the judicial setup.
Okay. Sorry for cutting in.
The gates kept. It means that we need to be conducting due diligence. There needs to be a stricter gatekeeping in order not to allow some of these things to water down the high stakes involved in trying to petition to, petitioning is good to have this redress done. But the stakes are high, and it requires a high level of due diligence. And these are some of the safeguards that Justice Dartey was praying against.
Okay.
In his erudite judgment in Frank Chum versus Attorney General.
And Mr. Mamhesi, sorry for cutting in. I do really get your point, and because of time, I want to ask my final question. If you can be brief on that for me, and it is that, what do you make of some lawyers saying that the Chief Justice is forum shopping, indirectly saying that she's trying to clutch onto every available straw so she can survive this legal battle?
I don't believe she's doing that. I mean, she's a juristic person, and as a human being whose rights is adversely affected, she would definitely want to have it defended. I mean, I've been been called on to defend people who have been involved in company theft. That person under the laws is even required to be represented in law.
Okay.
So if she's been petitioned against, and she believes there is a window of opportunity for her to show that she is innocent, to show that all that has been run against her exists or does not exist. It's for all these fora to vilify or to show that indeed it upholds or negates whatever has been brought against her. And one after the other would know whether she has a case.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mamhesi, for your time this evening. He is a private legal practitioner.
In more news tonight, the Member of Parliament for Ikuapem North, Samuel Dewuku, has described the directive by President John Mahama to scrap fuel allowance for his appointees as sentence. According to the NPP MP, the move is a mere populist gesture lacking real impact. He wants government to back this directive with concrete actions, beginning with the closure of the fuel depot at the Jubilee House and the Osu Castle.
Clearly, if you ask me, I think there are more questions to be asked with this particular directive. I just see it as populist. It's just public gimmick and a clear case of PR and settings. That's what I would say. If they really and actually want to be seen that they are biting the bullet and really scrapping this fuel allowance, I say two things: the fuel depot at the Castle Osu and the fuel depot at Jubilee House. Once you close down these two, then, because these are the places that the government appointees go for the fuel. So nobody should come and play with our mind. I say close down this fuel depot. And then number two, how much were we spending on this fuel allowance? Once we get to know, then at the end of the year, we can say that, okay, we've made savings of 1 Ghana cedi or 10 billion cedis or 100 million cedis. But without that, they're just playing on our mind. And who is a political appointee? There must be definition. Every CEO, mind you, the CEOs have contracts also different from that of ministers. I've been a CEO before. Your entitlement includes fuel allowance. They don't take that fuel allowance or fuel coupons or fuel from Castle Osu or Jubilee. It is embedded in the organization's cost of running the machinery. So please, we've had enough settings. We need clarity on these matters.
Meanwhile, organized labor is calling on President Mahama to back this recent decision on fuel allowance cuts with legislation. They say making its law will ensure future governments comply with that public resource are used wisely. Our labor correspondent Daniel Opoku has more on this report.
President John Dramani Mahama recently announced a total cancellation of fuel allowances for political appointees, a move he says is aimed at redirecting funds into key sectors of the economy. While organized labor has welcomed the initiative, they want more than just an announcement. But questions remain about how and where the savings will be used. Organized labor says government must clearly communicate which sectors will benefit. The fuel allowance cut also comes as base pay negotiations approach. Labor leaders are urging the president to ensure the decision doesn't impact those talks. Joshua Ansa is the Secretary General of TUC.
We think that this is the time we have sacrificed, and this is the time you must also be compensated for our sacrifices, so that together you can build this country. So for me, I can't say it is, I don't think that is the reason why. Government said that in his campaign that he will implore discipline.
General Secretary of NAT Thomas Tankomusa appealed to the president to explain under which conditions of service were the government appointees recruited.
And since we are dealing with workers and the ministers too are workers, let us look at it within the lenses of HR. Let us look at this thing within the lenses of HR to ensure that our ministers can deliver to our expectations. We should not be that today we go this way and somebody asks, what is the condition of service for a minister? The minister too is a worker. So that should be the discussion.
With many welcoming the move as a step toward fiscal responsibility, the focus now shifts to how it will be implemented and whether Parliament will give it a legal backing. President of NAGRAT, Gabor, called for legislation of the president's decision.
We want the president to go further, to make this as a legislation and send that legislation to Parliament so that it will become a law that political appointees, top-notch public servants will not be given fuel allowance anymore. It should be made a law so that it is not as if when President Mahama is not president, then we go back to what we used to do.
Meanwhile, government has justified its decision to cancel the allocation of fuel allowances to all political appointees as part of broader measures to reduce government expenditure. Deputy Presidential Spokesperson Shamima Muslim, in an interview on News Central earlier, said exemptions will be provided for regulated official travels involving specific government assignments.
It's also the symbolism of a government that practices what it preaches and a government that wants to show leadership in action and also congruence to the values that it expects its own citizens to accept. So as we speak, the exact cost is still being computed and we will make it available to the public as soon as it is ready. As the directive was given today, it would take a few weeks to put the total cost together because the budgeting year has not ended. Usually you would have your budgetary reports based on your expenses towards the end of the year. So it's mid-year and this directive has come in, so it would take some time to compute how much we as a government have spent so far with regards to allocation, fuel allocations from January till this point. So the exemption is that there will still be room for some regulated official travel and assignments. So for those regulated official travel and assignments, there will be room for the states to provide fuel for those particular travels. And as we did with the Code of Conduct for the government officials, there will be a written framework for the implementation of this program so that all appointees are aligned with regards to the kinds of travels that will make it to the official.
Joining us now is Franklin Kujo, President of Imani Africa. Franklin, thank you so much for your time. What are your thoughts on government's decision to scrap fuel allowances and allocations for political appointees? Step in the right direction or a mere populist gesture?
Well, good evening, Madam. I think it's a good step, even though I must say that it's very close to the next day that we are going to start charging, I suspect, the 1 cedi per litre, right? Oh. So it's a good gesture. I would think that if the president wants to levy a tax and realizes that, look, he needs to also make sure that his people are getting up their allowance, as in his political appointees. Why not? And so it's a good gesture. As Shamima rightly suggested, we would have to know the full cost at some point. But Madam, for me though, I think this conversation must be posited. I mean, it must be put in the specific, should I call it conversation about the optimal size of government? How much do we really need to spend on our government? How many people do we really need to employ? What skill set do they need to have? What productivity levels are we exacting? Otherwise these little gestures, the political gestures, they are good, often tend to, become quite insignificant, especially if it is not put into law. So beyond even codifying something like this, I would think that, and labor consultants have also had this conversation, I've called for such conversations, we should start having a deeper conversation about the optimal size of the government that we want for a particular country, like how do you call it, Ghana. So it's early days yet, and I think governance experts will be obviously looking into this and saying that Mama keeps giving. I mean, if you look at the fact that some of the interventions is made so far, and by the way, these are the little things Ghanaians want. Ghanaians are not interested in big talk, little delivery. I mean, but this guy is just delivering. Small people are becoming quite happy that the governance that the government they voted for is in actual fact delivering. So for me, the politics, whether it's propaganda, whether it's populist, I don't mind at all. Right. To the extent that it is how do I put it? It is something that is giving us some modicum of satisfaction that even though the president is going to start charging the tax tomorrow, it's having his appointees say, okay, take a little from what we do, from what is our due, and then we go on. The next big one we are waiting for him.
What will be its potential impact on government expenditure as well as fiscal discipline?
Oh, you're asking the potential impact on government expenditure and fiscal discipline?
Exactly.
Oh, without a doubt. Look, even if it is a million, it makes a major dent, positive in a positive manner, on our finances. So for me, let's see it as a positive thing. We need to look at the quantum involved, the size of this what I call some sort of relief, and then we'll be able to tell how significantly it has impacted the economy. But as we speak, look, this is important. I think the next thing people are asking for is procurement. You see, because these things are useful. They could impact fiscally on the economy, but the bigger picture, the bigger elephant in the room is actually procurement. And that's where politicians tend to cream off 60-70% of the deal, sometimes even 100. So let's look into those ones as well. But as far as this goes, it goes further to show that Mama is actually serious about researching. And I think this is a very important conversation to be had. Thank you.
Franklin, thank you so much for your time. Franklin Kujo, President of Imani Africa.
Now, the use of military officers for civilian protection has long been criticized as a deviation from their constitutional mandate. Those are the words of security analyst Colonel Festus Abuaji. Now, government is acting. Defense Minister Dr. Edward Omane-Boama has announced the immediate withdrawal of all military personnel serving in civilian-related roles.
This decision is long overdue. To start with, there is no way and no reason why professional armed forces should be deployed to perform those kinds of tasks that were outlined in the directive. You could interpret it to mean that what we normally call civil oversight or civil control of the armed forces collapsed completely. And it is only now that the incoming administration, using the appropriate institution, that is the Armed Forces Council, is regaining that control or re-establishing control and directing that all military personnel undertaking such duties must be withdrawn. I wouldn't want to call it mission creep, because this is not what the Constitution says the armed forces personnel should be doing. And if they had been doing tasks that related to their constitutional mandate and then, crept a bit outside of their boundaries, that is fine.
To some political stories, and 5 members of the opposition New Patriotic Party (NPP) in the Akwetia constituency of the Eastern Region have declared their intention to contest the primary ahead of the by-election. They are the constituency chairman Yao Ado, his second vice chairman Kwesi Boatin, Mr. Kofi Nyame, lawyer Yao Redu, and the former member of parliament Amase. Images of the wife of Kumi has popped up as a possible candidate to succeed her husband, but this has not been confirmed. The date for the primary is yet to be set by regional executives, but reports say these individuals who are party members have decided to come out openly to contest. The by-election has been brought about due to the demise of the MP Ernest Yaokumi. TV3 has also picked information that Parliament is yet to write officially to the Electoral Commission as demanded by the Constitution to be notified within 7 days of the death of a member of Parliament. Article 1125 of the Constitution also mandates the Electoral Commission to hold elections within 60 days after the occurrence of the vacancy. And Kumi died on Monday, July 7, 2025.
Let's go to the courts now. The High Court in Amasaman has denied bail for the founder of Heaven Way Church, evangelist Patricia Asiedu-Dartey, popularly known as Nana Agrada. Her legal representative, Bernard Kofi Asamoah, confirmed the court's ruling on Tuesday, July 15, following Agrada's appearance for bail hearing pending an appeal. The court has directed the Circuit Court to submit all relevant documentation pertaining to the appeal process. Agrada was sentenced on July 3, 2025 to 15 years imprisonment with hard labor by an Accra Circuit Court. The conviction stemmed from 2 counts of defrauding by false pretense and 1 count of charlatanic advertisement. The legal team filed a notice of appeal on the 7th of July contesting both the conviction and the sentence.
And away from the court, as part of its corporate social responsibility, DC Clinic Ghana has donated relief items to 3 foundations to support victims of the tidal waves in the Ketu South municipality of the Volta region. The donation is aimed at providing urgent support to hundreds of residents who have been displaced by the recurrent tidal waves in the area.
The items donated include food supplies, hygiene products, and basic medical essentials, all intended to ease the burden on victims and help improve their living conditions, at least for now. Speaking at the short presentation ceremony, CEO of DC Clinic said, the gesture forms part of the clinic's commitment to supporting vulnerable communities and promoting health and dignity in times of crisis.
We suffered a loss. We suffered our father passed because of that. And through that, it energized us to create the clinic and then also give a helping hand to those that do not have access to immediate health care.
The reason why we chose TV3 is given to the community in large and small basis, and we definitely want to be a part in giving to the community.
Clinic is a family-oriented clinic. We run 24-hour pharmacy. We have a fully equipped laboratory that will take care of all medical needs.
Acting head of corporate communications of 3 Foundation, Carl Niado, expressed appreciation to DC Clinic for its timely intervention and called on more corporate institutions to emulate the example.
On behalf of the board and management of 3 Foundation, we like to express our heartfelt gratitude to DC Clinic. We are excited at your partnership, and we assure you that these items will go a long way to support the good people of Ketu South.
Residents of Ketu South, particularly in areas like Salakope, Amutinu, and Adina, have been severely affected by sea erosion and tidal flooding in recent months, with many homes taking over by rampaging sea waters.
The Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Johnson Esiama has emphasized the importance of relying on official data and urged the public to disregard speculative projections from black market forex traders. Speaking at the Graphic Business Stanbic Bank breakfast meeting, he said these unofficial projections can lead to misinformation and instability in the forex market.
Graphic Business Stanbic Bank breakfast meeting provided a platform for industry players to share knowledge, experiences and ideas on driving economic growth and development. The dialogue focused on the importance of sustaining forex gains, with the cedi emerging as one of the world's top performing currencies. The meeting highlighted the potential economic impact of sustaining forex gains, including increased purchasing power for consumers and potential boost for economic growth. Speaking at the meeting, Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Esiama, cautioned against relying on uninformed sources for currency expectations.
It appears in Ghana the way we form our expectations when it comes to the exchange rate is to listen to the Zamana man, is to listen to the Alaji in the corner. And I think that's where the problem is. If you have a country whose trade surplus has doubled compared to last year, if you have a country whose current account has increased from a mere $66 million last year to over $2 billion in the first quarter of this year, why are you surprised when the exchange rate is showing stability?
He also expressed worry at the counterfeiting of the cedi.
There are things going on and I can't understand. For example, the counterfeiting of our cedi notes. Apparently, there are foreigners who are doing this, and they are doing it among our own business people. They know them. And yet, people just look away. And I can't imagine how we tolerate that.
During the panel discussion, President of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, Joseph Obeng, underscored the difficulty traders face in assessing forex, hence they use illegal means.
There's no availability of the forex itself. Sometimes this thing will be even full of speculation. That maybe the gains that we are talking about is even maybe artificial.
Still watching News 360 on TV3. We have business, sports, entertainment all coming up. Do stay with us.
Reporting from the Takoradi Market Circle.
From the heart of the Upper West Regional Capital.
From the heart of the Ashanti Kingdom.
Reporting from Sunyani.
From the Central Business District of Navrongo.
The parliamentarians are on recess.
This is where it all unfolds. The moments that potentially alters the course of our nation and the world. These are the individuals we recognize, the voices we amplify, who appears on screen and who contributes behind the scenes. With professionalism at our core, we bring you news you can trust, impact journalism that makes a difference. This illustrates how diverse perspectives enhance strength and reinforces our mission. This is 3 News, leaders in breaking news, exclusive interviews, facts and analysis on TV, radio, online and digital. 3 News, first in news.
Welcome back to News 360 on TV3. Time now for business. Michael is with us. Honestly, don't know where to look. Michael, what's going on?
Hi, people. Yeah. So, do you know fuel prices would have gone down by some 30% tomorrow?
Right.
But for the energy sector levy.
Oh. So it is being implemented and it takes effect from tomorrow.
It takes effect tomorrow. So, instead of the 1 CD, we feel about 70% impact at the pumps.
All right. Okay. The detail.
We know. All right, then. Hello there. Good evening. Welcome to the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obodu. Now, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana, COPEC, is projecting a fuel price increase of up to 9% beginning tomorrow, 16 July 2025. The projected hike coincides with the scheduled implementation of the new 1 CD per litre energy sector recovery levy, ending a 4-month streak of falling fuel prices.
Levies Amendment Bill 2025 in June, introducing an 1 Ghana cedi levy on every litre of petroleum products. The move aims to raise approximately 5 billion Ghana cedis annually to address the country's mounting energy sector debt, currently estimated at $3.7 billion. The levy was initially slated for implementation in June, but was postponed twice. The Ghana Revenue Authority has now confirmed it will take effect on 16 July 2025. COPEC, however, has raised concerns that the new levy will wipe out the potential 30 peso drop in fuel prices at the pump, effectively denying consumers any relief.
Without the 1 Ghana cedi implementation, the window starting tomorrow would have seen a decline in prices. So if you net off that decline, some 20-30 pesos that we could have received with the 1 Ghana tax being introduced, what the consumer is likely to suffer will be some 70-80 peso variance on current pump prices. That for us is significant.
The Chamber is also calling for a comprehensive review of the cost structure in Ghana's petroleum pricing system to address what it describes as inefficiencies and hidden costs.
We must say that they seem to have gotten the Dumsor situation under control currently. Would encourage them to do this. However, we are reminding government that on the current price build-up of petrol is a lot of waste padded as taxes that they could go through and remove some of them.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition has announced that marine gas oil will also be covered under the Energy Sector Recovery Levy.
We make it clear that the ministry is taking steps to ensure that it cuts across with MGO as well.
With MGO as well.
Yes, those are proposals that were made by COMAC, and the ministry is considering that.
So MGO will also be taxed under the levy?
That is so. The ministry is
Fantastic.
contesting.
Thank you for clarifying. Now, a finance and tax expert believes that a robust implementation of government's 24-hour economic program will be a significant catalyst for further reductions in Ghana's inflation rate. The head of finance at Melbourne Capital, Nelson Kujo-Kwagbeji, projects a positive outlook, forecasting that inflation could dip within the range of 8 to 10% by the end of the third quarter of 2025.
The 24-hour economic policy, where they have outlined 8 pillars that they want to use to drive the economy in terms of private sector participation. I believe that this is a very good policy. 2 of the pillars that they actually mentioned has to do with the Grow 24 and the Manufacture 24. I believe the Grow 24 and the Manufacture 24, coupled with the government flagship program of the Agri for Economic Transformation program, and then the Accelerated Export Development program, will contribute significantly towards the disinflationary pressure.
Now, in a ceremony filled with pride, reflection, and purpose, Temple Christian International School has graduated another class of future leaders. From globally recognized qualifications to value rooted in faith, the students leave equipped not just with knowledge, but for the world of work.
International School has celebrated a significant milestone as students from the secondary and sixth form programs graduated. The event highlighted not only academic success, but the spiritual transformation of students trained under the school's Christ-centered Cambridge curriculum. The ceremony drew applause from parents, staffs, and dignitaries as the school reaffirmed its commitment to raising godly leaders through academic and spiritual excellence. CEO of Temple Christian International School, Kevin Titio, says shared the unique values instilled in the students.
At Temple Christian International School, our motto is informing the mind, transforming the heart. And in that we have 3 S's, which is service, sincerity, and sacrifice. And these students embody service, sincerity, and sacrifice.
Some graduating students reflected on their personal growth and experiences.
Memorable moments, basically the football games that we have with the teachers, and it's like the teachers and staff members, they all have fun with all of us. It's like you all just like on a Friday afternoon, we just lay back and play a nice football match. Even our CEO sometimes joins us to play with us. Makes our game very exciting for us.
TCIs doesn't only help you academically, they also help you with your life. They give you the opportunity to be independent in an environment that helps you to thrive.
A parent, Robert Williams, shared why he entrusted the school with his children's education.
I know they have high morals, good educational system. They are able to bring the children up not only academically, but they grow up into all-rounded social beings. I've seen changes in her when it comes to domestic work, even at home. And academically, my daughter picked 4 prizes today.
And that'll be all for the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obodu. Up next, the sports.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360 with me, Oreku Ampofo. Let's start off from the Western region where President John Mahama announced that 6 new stadia will be built in the newly created regions. He made this vow as part of his thank you tour.
Modern sports stadia are to be built for the 6 new regions and other regions that do not have them. As I speak, the Minister of Sports and Recreation is overseeing the design of modern sports stadia for the 6 new regions and the regions that don't have them. And so Western North is going to receive a modern sports stadium.
Well, let's do some more here where the Black Queens are set to face Algeria on Saturday in the quarterfinals of the ongoing 2024 Women's Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco. Ahead of the game, my colleague Akosia J, who is currently in Morocco, caught up with the forward Chantel Boy Loka, who scored and provided an assist in Ghana's last win over Tanzania.
Excitement, first of all, but I'm grateful for the opportunity, most of all, that's what overpowers any emotion. And then from there, I knew that I can help the team with my experiences, with being from Europe, the football, the exposure that we've had out there. So I can bring a different style, a different level. I'm lost for words, to be honest. I don't think it's really still properly settled in until when we played in that game where it was real. It was like we win or we go home. And looking at everyone's face here, everyone born and raised in Ghana, it was like I had to do everything to help this team progress and be able to go back home with something to be remembered by.
Now, before we go, Kolo Toure has been promoted from his role as under-18s coach at Manchester City to become assistant of the first team. The former Manchester City defender Toure was drafted into work in the side during the Club World Cup in the United States, but the move has now been made permanent according to an announcement from Manchester City. We have more for you in the following report.
After enjoying stints at Celtic and Leicester City, Kolo Toure has been appointed as a permanent assistant coach at Manchester City. Toure joined City's first team on an interim basis before the start of the 2025 Club World Cup last June. The 44-year-old had his first state of managerial experience with Celtic in 2017, where he took up the technical assistant role under Brendan Rodgers before teaming up with Rodgers 2 years later as a first-team coach for Leicester City. Kolo Toure, who played for Manchester City for 4 years, joins a list of former African retired players to transition into coaching. Together with Senegal's Aliou Cissé, Egypt's Hassan Shehata, Nigeria's late coach Stephen Keshi, and Algeria's Belmadi, Kolo Toure will be eager to chart his path working with Pep Guardiola.
You can get some more updates on our social media handles at 3SportsGH. My name is Oreku Ampofo, and up next on the bulletin is entertainment.
Reporting from the Takoradi Market Circle.
From the heart of the Upper West Regional Capital.
From the heart of the Ashanti Kingdom.
Reporting from Sunyani. From the Central Business District of Navrongo.
The parliamentarians are on recess.
This is where it all unfolds. The moments that potentially alters the course of our nation and the world. These are the individuals we recognize, the voices we amplify, who appears on screen and who contributes behind the scenes. With professionalism at our core, we bring you news you can trust, impact journalism that makes a difference. This illustrates how diverse perspectives enhance our strength and reinforces our mission. This is 3 News, leaders in breaking news, exclusive interviews, facts and analysis on TV, radio, online and digital. 3 News, first in news.
Foods, Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Coil.
Powered by 3 Entertainment.
Coming up, some entertainment tidbits.
Daniel Ayita, founder of Outlook Records, has become the first Ghanaian gospel audio engineer to join the Recording Academy's 2025 new member class, marking a major milestone for Ghana's gospel music industry. His selection reflects the Academy's push for diversity and recognizes his growing global reputation. Ayita, who has worked with top gospel artists and trained internationally, now has a voice in the Grammy Awards process. He plans to use this platform to support the industry, mentor others, and expand his impact through education and training. Singer and songwriter Akwaboah has spoken out about jealousy and envy on social media, often coming from close friends. In a July 14 post, he noted that many people ignore others' achievements but are quick to spread negative news and criticism. He urged individuals to protect their mental health and focus on positivity for personal growth. Unreleased music and tour materials belonging to Beyoncé were stolen from a rental car in Atlanta on July 8, just before her Cowboy Carter tour stop. The car, used by her choreographer and dancer, was broken into near a food hall. Stolen items include 5 hard drives with unreleased music, show plans, a laptop, and designer items. Police are investigating, have issued an arrest warrant, and are using tracking data from the stolen electronics. It remains unclear if any of the items have been recovered. Beyoncé has been performing in Atlanta since July 10.
Beyoncé's performances in Atlanta went ahead as scheduled. Her Cowboy Carter tour, which began in April and supports her Grammy-winning country album, continues to draw massive crowds.
Time now for international news.
Nigeria's former president Muhammadu Buhari has been buried at his home in northern Nigeria 2 days after his death at the age of 82 at a clinic in London. His body was flown back to the country earlier on Tuesday, and his successor, Bola Tinubu, was at the airport in Katsina State to receive the remains. It was then taken to Buhari's hometown of Douara, where, with hundreds attending, Islamic funeral prayers were held at the Central Mosque. His body was finally interred in a grave dug in the grounds of his home with dignitaries including Tinubu, Guinea-Bissau President Umaro Sissoco Embalo, and Buhari's Vice President Yemi Osibanjo present. Just before the burial, military gunshots were fired and the Nigerian flag used to cover the corpse was removed.
And may the soul of former President Buhari rest in peace. So that's it for our package this evening. I am Martin Asiedu-Dartey.
And I am Portia. Gabor. Do join Beatrice Edu at 9 p.m. for Agenda and Alfredo Cancer at 10 p.m. for Ghana Tonight. Good evening.